I know I promised that I would make a video that was a little bit longer on the VA policy change that happened last week, that the administration quite literally walked back within 24 hours because there was so much outcry and outrage from the veterans community. And I wanted to explain why. Basically, what they were trying to do was update the way that medical examiners assess VA ratings or ratings tied to specific conditions. Imagine that you serve your country, you become injured or disabled during that service, and now your livelihood and your compensation that is directly tied to your service and you destroying your body during that service is used as a political pawn. It's, in my mind, absolutely diabolical, and VA benefits should never be on the table for cuts. The only thing that we should do is increase them or expand them. And basically, the way that it works is, there's this narrative that is being spun by people like Matt Walsh or other people on the Daily Wire that are trying to thread this needle of, there's all these fraudsters, and, the VA is one of our biggest expenses, and we have all these people committing fraud. And that's just simply not the case, right? Is there fraud? Sure, but there's already laws against fraud. And, if you want to go ahead and commit fraud against the Veterans Administration, be my guest, I guess, right? If you get caught, that's prison time. So the fact that they're trying to take this approach of one person shits their pants and everybody has to wear diapers seems to be very common. Same with SNAP benefits, right? Oh, well, there's all these fraudsters, and we should probably just take it away from everybody just so the fraudsters can have it, right? When all you have to do is improve your processes and you'll figure out who the fraudsters are. I'm not worried about that. I would rather 99 veterans get benefits and that one person that's committing the fraud gets caught than, because of one person committing fraud, 99 veterans not getting any benefits, right? So I think that's not hard, and that's not difficult to understand. So the notion that there's all these fraudsters out there is just simply not true. And also what he's saying is that the VA somehow is kind of like an honor system, and you just tell them that you have an injury and they give you 100% disability compensation. And that's also not how it works. VA compensation is very difficult to get because each code that you're rated for, each condition in that sense, is tied to a legal statute. So every amount of compensation or every percentage of compensation is tied to a legal proceeding, which includes medical exams, and it includes medical records and sworn statements and all of these different things that meet the threshold requirements for being 10, 20, 30, 40, 50% or more compensated or rated for those conditions, right? And the way that it works is when people say, oh, you're 100% disabled or I'm 100% disabled, that doesn't mean that I'm completely and utterly unable to do certain things. What it means is that in an aggregated look at all of the conditions that I've incurred during my service, like feet issues and, unstable knees or shoulders that are no longer working the same as they did when I was in my 20s and my 30s or whatever, migraines, PTSD, depression, anxiety, all of those different things, they may be 20% or 10% or 30% or 60% each, but the way that it aggregates up ends up becoming 100% or 90% or whatever it is, right? And the way that you got to think about it is it's almost like a point system, right? Where the 100% is represented by 100 points. The VA then takes your highest rated condition say that is PTSD at 60%. And they award that. So now you have 40 points of that 100 points left. Say your next rating is whatever, percent for your back, right? You have back pain, you jumped out of planes, and you now can no longer get out of bed in the morning. And they then take the 40% for your back out of the remaining 40 points from the initial rating. And it goes like that for the rest of the conditions too. So they take the highest, then the second, third, fourth, whatever highest. And then once you get to like 95 aggregated, it's considered 100 because they just round up. But yeah, effectively it's a point scale. And it is, like I said, all tied to legal statutes that you have to meet in order to get the rating bumped up to the next highest level, right? So that then takes into consideration, how does this impact your daily life? How often do you have certain episodes? How is all of this working based on, your other medical conditions? Are some of these considered to be secondary conditions, right, that are caused by the initial condition? For me, for example, I had a spinal fusion done in 2014 when I was still active duty. I then medically retired, and then 7 years later, I had to have a secondary fusion done because my first fusion caused a disc failure above the fusion. So all of those things are then considered, they are assessed, and then the rating is assigned. This policy change was basically trying to make it so the examiner can say, oh, well, you're on whatever, pain medication, muscle relaxers, or antidepressant medicine, and you're saying it works, so we're going to drop your rating from 100 to 80. And that can mean the difference of like $2,000 plus per month, depending on how many dependents you have. It also impacts other benefits like property tax exemption or student scholarships for your dependents. And if you start, just arbitrarily changing ratings all the time, depending on what the veteran is telling you in that exam and how you think the medicine is helping them, you start literally impacting their day-to-day lives and their livelihoods by, changing their rating and thus changing how much money they receive from their compensation. And that to me is just criminal, because one of the things that veterans need more than anything is stability. And this is not that, right? This causes the exact opposite. This causes angst every single month when your VA check hits to just try to see, well, how much do they think I deserve this month? And I know somebody, for example, that had their rating dropped simply because they changed their address, and then for 15 years, they didn't touch their VA stuff at all because they were afraid that the VA was going to take everything from them. And that's just ridiculous, man. Like, a policy like that causes either the veteran to go in and lie and say, nope, the medicine's not helping, give me more. And then that costs more taxpayer dollars. It's going to either cause veterans to no longer file claims, which I think is the goal. Because Russell Vaught, the current director of management and budget, has already said in Project 2025 that VA benefits should be massively reduced because the country pays way too much money per year for veterans, which, I mean, it's around $200 billion a year. But if you don't want to pay veterans compensations, don't start stupid fucking wars. I mean, or don't go to wars that mean nothing. Like, if you are asking your country's sons and daughters to go fight in a war, then you got to compensate them. That's just the way it works. I mean, not only morally, but legally. Anyway. So yeah, basically what they were trying to do is, say that you have like an amputation and you go into the doctor and you're walking because you have a prosthetic leg, and they say, oh, hey man, looks like you're walking just fine. We're going to just reduce your rating because obviously the medical device or the medicine is helping, right? Like, how dumb is that? So anyway, long story short, this policy is still alive. And even though they halted the implementation, it's still on the docket. So I'm going to drop the link below. You still need to go comment and, leave your opinion to make sure that this does not become policy, because this has the potential to severely impact our veteran community. And obviously by the outcry, you could tell that, there's not a whole lot of people that can move a mountain in 24 hours, but it seems like when the veteran community gets together, people start to notice. Anyway, I appreciate you guys listening for this long. If you're still here, please go like, share this video. I think this is a subject that we can all agree is extremely nonpartisan and deserves all of the attention, really. Anyway, that's all I got. Leave any questions, comments, concern in the comment section. And hopefully this does not become law.